Hi guys, welcome back to the Astrology. Today we are going to be doing the monthly reading for the month of November, where we are going to discuss the transits of all the 9 planets from a Vedic astrology perspective to understand what is the kind of impact that we can anticipate for this month from a transit perspective. Now, guys, as you can see on your screen here, these are some of the important dates which are going to come into picture. First and foremost, Sun is currently in the sign of Libra and is going to be stationed there until November 16, and it then moves into the sign of Scorpio. Mercury is in the sign of Scorpio already, and it will become retrograde from November 9, and it will come back into the sign of Libra from November 23. Venus is in the sign of Libra from November 2nd onwards, and it is going to be in the sign of Scorpio. So, multiple planets coming into the sign of Scorpio on November 26th. You have Mars, which is going to be placed in the sign of Scorpio throughout the course of the month. However, he will become combust from November 7th till March 27th. You have Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. He's been there since October 18th, and it is going to get into the mode of retrogression from November 11th onwards. Saturn is in the sign of Pisces itself in Purv Bhadrapada Nakshatra, and most importantly, will become direct from November 27th. Rahu is in Purv Bhadrapada Nakshatra, again, that is of Jupiter, and is going to remain there throughout the course of the month in the sign of Aquarius itself, while Ketu is in Purv Falguni Nakshatra of Venus and is going to be stationed there throughout the course of the month in the sign of Leo itself. So, without further ado, guys, now let's jump into understanding what these transit dates are going to do and how you are going to see the impact through the course of the month of November. Now, Aquarius, for you guys, as you can see on the screen here, your Lagna Lord is sitting in the sign of Pisces in retrogression. And this is the month of retrogression as if, because Mercury as well as Jupiter will be coming into retrogression mode in the month of November as well. But he will be slipping back into its direct or progressive motion from 27th of November. So that's an interesting bit which is coming into picture, and a positive bit which is going to be coming into picture for everybody. Rahu is in your Lagna in your first house, Ketu is in your seventh. Jupiter is coming and getting stationed in exaltation in your sixth house. Now, we've done a detailed video for Jupiter last week. If you guys not have had a chance, I recommend you to please go ahead and check that out, because it's going to give you a lot of clarity as to what you can be anticipating for this 45-48 day duration. Then you have multiple planets, 4 of them stationed in your 9th and 10th house respectively, and that is the point where we will start the discussion for today's reading. Venus, which happens to be the lord for your 4th house and your 9th house, it's a Yoga Karaka planet for you folks, and he is stationed, or he is going to get into the sign of Libra on 2nd of November itself. Now, he is going to be conjunct with Sun, who happens to be your 7th lord in the sign of debilitation in the 9th house. But the important bit is, Sun was getting his niche bang because, or cancellation of the debilitation, with the presence of Mercury until 27th of October when he moved into the sign of Scorpio. I'm sorry, did I say Mercury? I meant Mars. Okay. And from 2nd of November, just a gap of about 5-6 days, you have Venus coming into that spot. So he is also bringing that cancellation of debilitation. And these are pure cancellation of debilitations, pure Nishbhanga, which are coming into picture. So it's a positive bit, of course, for everyone, but superior for you because it's happening in the 9th house for you folks. And this is where it is important for you to understand. When the 7th lord is moving into the 9th house, it does bring the possibility of some positive construct coming into picture for your spouse, for people who are married, or people who are in business relationships, partnerships of any sort. Destiny is going to play a fruitful role for you during this period, albeit you will have to continue to put in your effort. In fact, Even for your spouse, if some sort of a promotion, growth, career opportunity has to work out, it will require some stupendous amount of effort coming into picture. And one would say, oh my gosh, Dave, you always put a caveat in any good thing that is about to happen. Guys, the good part is that whilst Sun is sitting in debilitation, he's giving an exalted aspect towards your third house. So at least for the first half of the month, that hard work, that courage, that push that I'm talking about is sort of aligning with the stars as well. And Mars is also stationed in the 10th house. So I see it. You see how beautiful astrology is, like everything comes together constructively. Whilst I'm calling out that caveat, it's sort of naturally happening out for you guys, Aquarius. You guys are the only ones who are sort of getting it this way in this axis. So the great bit is that you will find success coming in your way, in your partnerships, in your relationships, for your spouse as well, especially for your spouse if he or she is looking forward for a job switch, benediction from their superiors, bosses, or success coming in terms of promotion. That is highly possible even in your chart, because it is at the end of the day your ninth house coming into picture. The good part is that your bosses, teachers, mentors, guides, superiors could also be giving a lot of favors. They could be supporting you during this time because the ninth lord is also placed in the ninth house itself. You see how beautifully this is transpiring for you. I already see a very good start, Aquarius, for the month of November for you folks. You have to also understand that people who have been facing certain difficulties in their marriage, in their relationships, because Ketu's placement has been turbulent, and I'll talk about Ketu at as well at the later part of the video. But been facing those complications because of this Rahu Ketu axis, you will realize that this is going to be a time to nourish your relationship, to find some common grounds of collaboration. If you've not watched my Ketu in all house video, go ahead and watch what I've stated about Ketu's placement in the seventh. And the spiritual connection is what I've alluded to in that video. It's a beautiful playlist I've put together. I don't see many of you spending, a lot of new viewers who are coming to my channel. I think you guys are not spending time to check out some of the playlists, which will give you a lot of clarity in terms of how things are panning out. And you look into that video, it clearly states that a spiritual collaboration is extremely positive, and the chart right now for you folks in transit is giving a brilliant alignment from that perspective, Aquarius. So that's another positive bit that I see there. Now, of course, ninth house Venus also denotes that, especially if you have female bosses, women bosses, it's going to be a growth opportunity for your bosses as well. So you're going to be lucky for them too. There is going to be a good collaboration for people who are working in multinational corporations, people who are working in government jobs and roles, and people who are employed far away from their current place of birth or current place of residence, for that matter. Not current place of residence, from their original place of residence or belonging. If you're far away from that, it is going to be a suitable period of growth expansion for you on that front as well. So another positive bit there. Now, the fourth lord Venus, again, it's a Yogarka planet, making a sixth movement towards 9,000. This definitely indicates that there could be certain obstacles, challenges, difficulties that you could face with respect to your mental, emotional peace, with respect to your assets, with respect to your property. There could be some degree of turmoil that could come into picture, but fear not. I don't see any humongous complications coming into picture, because Venus is well positioned, well stationed, and he is going to ensure that in this placement, there is this natural essence that you build. And I alluded to that spiritual, bit a few minutes back. It's going to be crucial. The more you find yourself aligned, in fact, Venus in ninth tends to bring some of those tendencies as well. The more you align, let the energies flow, open yourself to that mindset, you will feel regenerated. You will feel that, yes, there are certain hassles, there are a few things that are bothering me, there have been these complications that are coming around, yet you will feel a certain degree of sereneness or comfort. That acceptance is going to be there, that I can handle this. I can figure out what needs to be done. And that is going to be very important. In fact, later when Venus swims into the sign of Scorpio, he's going to look back and make things much better from that perspective. So all in all, looks decent from those two areas. Now, both Sun and Venus together are going to be giving that aspect towards the third house. So there is going to be empathy. There is going to be some panache, some craftiness in your speech, in your communication, in your expression, in your in your call outs to the world. And that's another positive bit that is coming in play, especially with that exalted aspect of sun. I see a lot of positive connections spanning out with your neighbors, in your community, with your family members, with your siblings, especially both elder and younger, because your 11th lord Jupiter is also exalted, albeit in the 6th house, but he's also exalted. So good connections coming into picture. You could be of help to them in terms of advice, guidance, mentorship too. Now, in the same part of the month, the first half itself, Mars is conjunct with Mercury in your 10th house. Now, Mercury being the lord of your 5th and your 8th house. So, that's an interesting ownership coming into the 10th. Both of these planets are gaining amazing directional strength. So, that's pretty interesting there. 5th lord coming into the 10th house, which means that in your karma, in your efforts, you are not only going to bring brute force of Mars, which is going to be there with you, you are going to bring that exorbitant amount of energy. Sun is also giving an exalted aspect towards your 3rd house, but coupled with that energy, coupled with that fury, would be the craftiness, the thinking, the methodology, or the outside of the box thinking that you're going to bring in your work, which you're going to bring in your conduct. I would say, in your karma overall. It's going to be a very good period for my students audience watching this video. So if you're a student, this is going to be a terrific time to put your efforts into fruition. Jupiter is exalted in the 6th. Good time for you to pick up any kind of competitive examinations, excel in them, and then make full use of your knowledge in your execution, in your workplace as well. So that is another positive bit. However, see, Mercury is the 8th lord as well, and his placement 3 places away into the 10th can bring some risky consequences at work, because there could be some unexpected situations, some transformation that could come into picture. Maybe you could be required to learn, unlearn new things, explore newer territories as well to do better at whatever task you've been chartered to do, from a education perspective, or from job perspective, or from career perspective, your business perspective. So be mindful of that. You have to also understand that Mercury holds the responsibility of decision making, creative thinking, critical thinking, and more importantly, communication. Mars shows that technical and mathematical acumen, but Mercury brings all of those, aspects of business or strategy or decision making together. And when he becomes retrograded, there are going to be certain, bits of complications coming into picture. Especially retrogression in the 10th is like a shift towards the previous sign. So this is the time from 10th of November, 11th of November onwards, when even Jupiter is going to be in retrogression. You've got to be extra cautious in how you are approaching things at work. My suggestion is, if there are any key decisions that you are about to take, any documents that you are about to sign, any kind of new associations, new business agreements, new engagements that you are going to get in, please get a first, second, third opinion. It may not be a bad idea, because your 9th house from a transit perspective is very well placed throughout that period. Even when Sun moves into the 10th, still Venus is going to be stationed there in your 9th house itself till 26th of November. So it is absolutely critical that you make sure that you get a different perspective. Lean onto the judgment of the people that you trust, your gurus, your mentors, your teachers, your boss, maybe a mentor who's not your boss anymore at your current workplace. So going back to that professor and validating on your thesis, going back to that previous boss and getting an outside in perspective may not be a bad idea at all. So that is the thing that I would want you to draw caution towards. Now, in the second half of the month, around 16th of November, Sun will be pivoting towards the 10th house. Now, you see 3 planets there, Mars, Mercury, and Sun, all stationed into the 10th house, which is heavy focus towards career. Directionally, also, all these planets are getting amazing strength. Venus would be placed in the 9th house itself. Good support of luck and super orientation towards work, towards achievement, towards putting in those long hours or putting in those smart hours from your side, which is beautiful. And I think this is where Aquarius, a positive shift, whatever you've been facing from the previous month onwards, now with these planets coming out of that 8th house positions, there was a clutter in your 8th and 9th earlier, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Now everything is shifting towards that 9th, 10th, and 11th. You see how beautifully things are beginning to shape for you, at least from a transit perspective, Aquarius. Of course, I cannot comment on your natal chart, Dasha, Antardasha, the Ashtavarga scores of your planet to give you a deeper understanding on what specifically for Mr. XYZ watching this video is going to be impacting you. But from a transit perspective, Aquarius, it gives very solid indications that things are going to get positive there. You are going to get some social respect, recognition of the efforts that you're putting in. People will acknowledge that you are on the right path, on the right track, Aquarius. All of these planets in the third week will be giving an aspect towards the fourth. So, some sort of an investment with respect to property, assets, intellectual property, expansion of your knowledge, something on those regards definitely seems to be coming into picture. And then at the fag end of this period, Mercury slips back in its retrograde motion into the sign of Libra itself, while uh, Venus slips into your 10th house. Now, Venus 10th, it's okay. All planets tend to do decently well in the 10th house. It brings a lot of empathy. It brings a lot of calm, um, taking people along with you, togetherness, that compatibility sort of a thing. All of that comes into picture with Venus's movement here. Mars-Venus combination also brings heightened energy along with empathy. So it's going to be a good period overall from this transit perspective. Now, as you look further, the impact of these planets, of course, is towards your 10th house. But crucially, we have to understand that Mars has additional aspects. He gives a fourth aspect onto your Lagna, into your first house, if you're watching from an Aquarius moon sign perspective, where Rahu is going to get that catalyst fire energy from Mars. And this becomes crucial for you to understand, because this is where there, whilst your efforts could be concrete and humongous amount of push could be coming in from your side, your expectations, your desires, your appetite, your hunger is also going to magnify to the next level. You could become obnoxious in terms of that appetite that you would be carrying. That illusion could also grow in you, and this is where, Aquarius, I would want you to draw extreme caution. Rahu, with that additional amount of burst and energy, will be playing its games as well. So you've got to be very clever as to how you navigate that. This Mars will also be giving an aspect towards your Gemini sign in the fifth house, the Lord of which is already getting into retrogression, as well as the Gemini or the fifth house is going to be getting a aspect from Rahu. So Aquarius, from a romance perspective, it's going to be a very interesting period. Whilst there will be a lot of energy from your side, but at the same time, if you are not keeping a check on your tongue, if you're not being cautious as to how you are communicating yourself with your partner, things could go spiral. It could cause some degree of commotion, and you might make judgmental errors in terms of moving on from the relationship, trying to explore different things, being too exploratory by mindset. So be very clear that that aggression, that passion doesn't rub off in a negative way. From an education perspective, as I said, it is decently good. However, from a speculative stock investment strategy perspective, I would want you to practice caution. One, because Rahu and Mars are going to give energized effects. You would want to go brutal in terms of risk taking, Aquarius. That is going to happen with you, right? And then Mercury is retrograded, and he is not only your fifth lord, but also your eighth lord. So that sudden loss, sudden turbulence, sudden difficulties coming in with wrong judgments with respect to your strategies, your risks, is definitely in there. And remember, Jupiter is also giving a debilitated aspect towards your 12th house. So your expenses could go wrong. Murphy's law could apply. Anything can go wrong, will definitely go wrong with this kind of a situation. So when it comes to taking any kind of monetary risks, while the effort making and everything is at great play for you guys, Aquarius, this rushed behavior, especially with Mars, whilst he's in conjunction with Mercury, is going to be tricky, and you've got to be watchful in that front. Now, Rahu, he's giving an aspect towards the fifth, seventh, and ninth. Fifth, we've already discussed. Seventh, of course, he is going to try and push you towards your partnerships, but Ketu has its own bit to say. We will talk about that. And on the seventh, he's going to be giving an aspect majorly towards Venus as well as towards Mercury when he slips back. Rahu's aspect towards ninth can be both positive and negative. See, on Venus and Mercury, because of that friendly relationship, it is going to still be okay, because somewhere or the other, it is going to bring in a positive impact. It could bring in growth for your boss, superiors, leaders as well. But at the same time, there could be a lot of conflict in terms of the vision, in terms of the thought process, in terms of the spiritual connection that I want you to maintain. And that is going to be crucial because I alluded to that when I was talking about Ketu and Sun's movement. And I'm touching upon that bit now as well. Yes, one thing I just missed is that because Venus is present there for a considerable amount of time, and Rahu is getting an aspect, some kind of a long distance travel, some sort of a holiday is definitely on the cards for Aquarius. Your Lagna Lord or your Rashi Lord, if you're watching from a moon sign perspective, is in the second. He's giving an aspect towards the fourth house, and that is where I think some bit of a commotion with respect to emotions could be coming into picture. Once he becomes direct, you will find a definitive check on that front. Speculative activities, I've said in the Saturn's transit videos as well, please keep your mind on check there. Mercury is getting retrograded and Saturn's retrogression is not going to help at all. And then Ketu is already sitting in the seventh. Plus, he's going to be giving a retrograded aspect towards your 11th house as well. Jupiter is exalted, great bit. But all of these things are giving an indication that too much of a risk, too much of a greed may not be the best thing for you to pursue. Once Saturn becomes direct, I think you will get a lot of positive, energy in terms of all these areas. And hopefully December is going to show a lot of positivity from that front too. See, the retrogression of Saturn is crucial because he's your 12th lord as well, not just your lord, unlike Capricorns who have first and second lordship. So that is where whilst he is your Lagna lord or first lord, he brings the crucial aspect, degree of spirituality, all those aspects from a 12th house lordship as well, which you cannot forget, Aquarius. Very crucial for you folks. By the way, deep diving into occult, any kind of research and stuff, positive period on that front. We've done a detailed discussion on Jupiter, so I'll talk about Ketu for a bit here. Ketu is stationed in your 7th house, and the dispositor of Ketu, which is Sun, is getting into better dignities through the course of the next few weeks, which means that the impact of Ketu will also start translating positively as long as you are taking that spiritual alignment. In fact, Ketu is in the nakshatra of Venus itself, who's pretty well placed throughout. And that means that this Ketu, whilst he has been acting like a separator, he has been bringing those challenges with respect to the 7th house issues, you will find a large degree of upliftment, positive impact from Ketu also coming into picture in this period. And I know many channels, many people do not understand or talk about this. And that is why specifically I wanted to give you this perspective so that you understand that not everything is lost if Rahu and Ketu are in 1-7 axis with Ketu being in the 7th. People seem to react hopelessly when they come to me for consultations. And I try to tell them that it's not at all an abysmally bad position if you know which energies you have to channelize based on your specific chart. But from a transit perspective, a lot of positive indications coming in from Ketu standpoint as well, who's giving an aspect towards your 11th, 3rd and Lagna. So yes, continue to focus in terms of hard work. That is what Ketu is going to be expecting you to bring to the table. And if you do that, he has the co-ownership of your 10th house as well. If you do that, the 11th house rewards will be taken care of. I hope, guys, you loved the insights that I've shared with you and the effort that I put into these videos. If you do, then please smash on that like button, subscribe to Dave Astrology, put in your comments, folks, your experiences, share my video with some of your friends, colleagues, family members, help me grow my channel. And that is all I could ask for. Thank you. Om Namah Shivaya. Har Har Mahadev.